So you think this is an important one then?
Hmm?
This is an important one that you.
Only because of your presentation. Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh yeah. I'm like, what?
All right, so we're back in. Today is October 3rd. This is the first time the Quran study group has reassembled since the COVID pandemic. And so we're here in Westbury, Long Island, New York, at our sister Khalila's house, Carolyn, as she likes that name preferably. We thank her for letting us use her facilities here. And actually, this is where the whole group originated in the beginning. About 15 years ago, we started the group here at her house. So we're back here full circle. We want to thank everybody for coming out today, and the brothers who couldn't make it, we hopefully we'll see them the next time. So with that said, today's topic surrounds the verse of the Quran, chapter 40, verse 12. So we were told to look at that verse and see exactly what we can come up with some understandings as it relates to 4012. So we'll start with that. Anybody who has something to add on to what I just said can say that, and if not, then we get right into the subject.
Yeah, we can.
So, John, you say you have something then?
I wrote some stuff.
Okay, so let's hear what you got.
Okay. The subject is 4012, chapter 4012.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can just put it up on the screen, 4012?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, and that is because when God
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
wrote the wrong one.
So,
Did you want word for word?
yeah, because
so
I
it
wanted
wants word for
to, because
Yeah.
what I noticed is for chapter 4012, it uses the word God alone, Wahadu. Wait, it's right
there you
there,
go.
God alone. And in the Quran, it's used 5 times, and I got the chapters and the paragraphs written down also.
Mm-hmm.
So for 4012, and it's also mentioned in 39, chapter 39, paragraph 45, chapter 770, and chapter 60, paragraph 4, and also chapter 40, paragraph 84. And that's when God alone is used. So if I could just read chapter 4012.
Okay, do you want to see like this?
Yeah.
I think you missed a verse. There's actually 6 places, 6 references. You say you got 5?
I got 5, but the other
you
one,
got chapter 7, verse 70,
I got 770.
1746.
17,
Yeah, but isn't that Quran alone instead of God alone?
Okay, so yeah, the word wataha, I think that was the word you were saying.
Right, that's correct.
So that's the word. If that's the word,
Yes.
well then it's 6 times.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Yes, it's mentioned 6 times, but 5 of the times I should have been more clear.
Relating to a law.
To God alone.
Good. Okay.
And they will be told that is because when Allah was called upon alone,
Mm-hmm.
you disbelieve, but if others were associated with him, you believe. So the judgment is with Allah, the Most High, the Grand. And also chapter 39, 45. And when Allah is mentioned alone, the hearts of those who do not believe in the hereafter shrink with aversion. But when those worship with other than Him are mentioned, immediately they rejoice.
Mm-hmm.
And I always mention that chapter also, 39:45. When I speak to a lot of relatives,
Mm-hmm.
and mentioned that chapter because a lot of Muslims, they like to inject Muhammad's name, for the Shahada,
Yeah.
So that one that I use, and also 770 and 484. So
Mhm.
they say, "Have you come to us that we should worship Allah alone and leave what our forefathers have worshipped? Then bring us what you promise us, if you should be of the truthful."
Mhm.
So, and also chapter 40, 84. And when they saw our punishment, they said, "We believe in Allah alone, God alone, Allah alone, and disbelieved in that which we used to associate with Him." And also 64, chapter 60, paragraph 4.
Right? 64.
There has also been for you an excellent partner in Abraham and those with him. And when they said to their people, "Indeed, we are disassociating from you and from whatever you worship other than Allah, we have denied you, and there has appeared between us and you animosity and hatred forever until you believe in Allah alone, except for the saying of Abraham to his father, I will surely ask for forgiveness for you, but I have not power to do for you anything against Allah, our Lord. Upon you we have relied, and to you we have returned, and to you is the destination." So those are the 5 places where the Quran mentions God alone.
Mhm.
And the only other place,
I would keep that light on so we can have some
Oh, okay.
for the video. Yeah.
and the only other place that it's mentioned where it's mentioned in Quran alone is chapter 1746.
Mhm.
17.
46, chapter 1746. And we have placed over their hearts covering lest they understand it, and in their ears deafness. And when you mention your Lord alone in the Quran, they turn back in aversion. Is that all the ones where it says Lord alone?
Yeah,
in
in
the
the Arabic, في القرآن وحده.
Can you do word by word?
Yes.
Because I had thought it was Quran alone.
It is, in that
Yeah,
ayat
It
it
is.
is.
It's a
The
Quran.
Quran alone.
But what they
There you
do, they switch it because they don't want Quran alone, they want it because.
Oh, okay. So
But if you look in the
yeah.
Arabic, you
Yeah.
see it says,
So you said
Quran wahdahu.
Yeah, so yeah. And we have placed over their hearts covering lest they understand it, and in their ears deafness. And when you mention your Lord in the Quran alone,
Right, there you
turn
go.
around.
Yeah, so that's why I was kind of confused when I was just reading it. I
Yeah.
read it that way. I'm like, wait a second. I remember it saying Quran alone. So for me, right there, I mean, if anybody truly believes in God alone
Mhm.
and the Quran alone, just these, these verses and these paragraphs explaining to us that God alone
Mhm.
and the Quran alone,
Mhm.
then you won't be deviating
Yeah.
from this book into the hadiths or associating another god with God. And I mean, those are the things that I also wrote about idolatry, but I don't know if you want me to get into it, Hamza, or did you want?
Whatever you have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then, from these, I guess what I basically wanted to explain is the Quran is very detailed and very explaining that God alone, meaning not associating anything with Him, and the Quran alone. To me, as a submitter, you shouldn't be looking to any hadiths or any other books besides the Quran alone. And I also wrote down chapter 7, 172. And the reason why I wrote that down is this is the natural instinct of all the human beings. And it says, and mention when your Lord took from the children of Adam, from their loins, their descendants, and made them testified of themselves, saying to them, am I not your Lord? They said, yes, we have testified this, lest you should say on the day of resurrection, indeed, we were of this unaware. And if I could just continue reading down like to 173, 174 also. Or lest you should say, it is only that our fathers ascribed partners to Allah of old, and we were their seed after them. Wilt thou destroy us on account of that which those who follow falsehood did? And thus do we explain in detail the verses, and perhaps they will return. And then 174.
That was 174.
Oh, the 174. I'm sorry. So right there, it's explaining to us that, whether we even read this Quran or we didn't read the Quran, it's in our DNA as human beings that our natural instinct is to believe in God alone. That's what 7172. And then I wrote down chapter 30, paragraph 30.
30.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
So direct your face toward the religion, inclining to the truth, adhere to the fitrah of Allah upon which He has created all people. No change should there be in the creation of Allah. That is the correct religion, but most of the people do not know. Meaning to not divide your religion into different sects. And then I wrote down chapter 12, 106.
Mm-hmm. That's what
And most of them believe not in Allah except while they associate others with Him. So, chapter 12, paragraph 106, a lot of people, they say, yeah, they believe in God or Allah, but the majority of them do not do so without associating other things or other human beings with God. And I wrote down chapter 31:13, and this is Luqman's advice to his son. And mention, O Muhammad, when Luqman said to his son while he was instructing him, O my son, do not associate anything with Allah. Indeed, association with Him is a great injustice. So, and the only thing that God mentions that is the unforgivable sin, if it's carried out till death, is in, I wrote down chapter 4, 48. Indeed, Allah does not forgive associate with him, but he forgives what is less than that for whom he wills, and he who associates others with Allah has certainly fabricated a tremendous sin. And chapter 4, 116. Indeed, Allah does not forgive associate with him, but he forgives what is less than that for whom he wills. And he who associates others with Allah has certainly gone far astray. And then I wrote down chapter 39, paragraph 65. And it was already revealed to you and to those before you that if you should associate anything with Allah, your works would surely become worthless, and you would surely be among the losers. So I kind of wanted to, bring this into chapter 40, paragraph 12. And I just wanted to kind of go over the different types of idols that people, that the Quran talks about. So I wrote down chapter 251, 21, 51 to 53, but I'll read 251 first.
251.
And recall when we made an appointment with Moses for 40 nights, then you took for worship the calf after him while you were wrongdoers. So in the Quran it talks about the calf being worshipped as a statue, and that's also in chapter 21, paragraph 51 to 53.
51 to 53.
Yeah. And we had certainly given Abraham his sound judgment before, and we were of him well knowing. When he said to his father and his people, "What are these statues to which you are devoted?"
Oh, sorry. And you said you found it.
They said, "We found our forefathers worshiping them." So something that everybody thinks about, worshiping statues. And I wrote down chapter 4, 117.
4, 117.
They call upon instead of him none but female gods, and they actually call upon none but a rebellious Satan. And I also wrote about Jesus being looked as a god, which is in chapter 5, 72. They have certainly disbelieved who say Allah is the Messiah, the Son of Mary, while the Messiah has said, "O children of Israel, worship Allah, my Lord and your Lord. Indeed, he who associates others with Allah, Allah has forbidden him paradise, and his refuge is the fire, and there are not for the wrongdoers any helpers." And I also wrote down chapter 6, 100, the jinns of being worshipped as gods. But they have attributed to Allah partners, the jinn, while he has created them, and have fabricated for him sons and daughters. Exalted is he and high above what they described. And the Quran even goes to as far as worshiping your children as idols, and that's in chapter 7, 190. But when we give them a good child, they ascribe partners to him, concerns that which he has given them. Exalted is Allah above what they associate with him. And I wrote down
Just one
human.
thing before you go further. How do you equate that with associating your children as idols in that verse right there? But when he gives them a child, a good child, they ascribe partners to him concerning that which he has given them.
I think it was in chapter 7, 194 also, right? It goes down to. Indeed, those you polytheists call upon besides Allah are servants like you, so call upon them and let them respond to you if you should be truthful. I think that whole thing about a couple wanting a good child or a baby from chapter 7, 190 to 7, 194. Could I read that?
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
thinking that the shirk is involving others, not the child. Maybe you're thanking somebody else for that child, that you got the child. Maybe you went to somebody, asked them to pray for you, that you have a good son, and they prayed and blessed you and all of that, and you had a child, and you thanking that person. It's not the child that they are worshiping. You follow me? They're
I
not
see.
taking the child as an idol, you see?
Okay.
It's the people that they are calling on that maybe they're giving the thanks to.
Okay.
Like when you go to the doctor and you thank the doctor for saving your life, and you forget to mention that Allah is the one who really is above all of that. In
Okay.
other words, you're putting your trust in the creation and not the creator. So I just want to make that clear, because if somebody hears that and looks at a verse, they're going to see that maybe that wasn't what it is, and how everybody just sat there and didn't say anything about
Yeah.
it. And there's a couple of things, but I'm just saying I don't think that that's what it is. I could be wrong though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just pointing it out anyway, so you can keep moving.
Okay. And also intercessors as idols. Chapter 10, paragraph 18. And they worship other than Allah that which neither harms them nor benefits them. And they say, these are our intercessors with Allah. Say, do you inform Allah of something he does not know in the heavens or on the earth? Exalted is he and high above what they associate with him. And I wrote down chapter 14:22, Satan as an idol. And Satan will say when the matter has been concluded, indeed Allah had promised you the promise of truth, and I promised you, but I betrayed you, but I had no authority over you except that I invite you, and you responded to me. So do not blame me, but blame yourself. I cannot be called to your aid, nor can you be called to my aid. Indeed, I deny your associates of me with Allah before. Indeed, for the wrongdoers is a painful punishment.
So that's the biggest idol.
Yeah,
That's the biggest, Shaitan is the biggest idol.
yeah. So I put that down. I put down property as an idol, and that's in chapter 18, 32 to 36.
Property or possessions.
Yeah, possessions,
okay.
And present them an example of two men who granted to one of them 2 gardens of grapevines, and we bordered them with palm trees and placed between them fields of crops. each of the two gardens produced its fruits, and did not fall short thereof in anything, and we caused to gush forth within them a river, and had fruits. So he said to his companion while he was conversing with him, I am greater than you in wealth and might, mightier in number of men. And he entered his garden while he was unjust to himself. He said, I do not think that this will perish ever. And I do not think the hour will occur, and even if I should be brought back to my Lord, I will surely find better than this as a return. And then 1842. And his fruits were encompassed by ruins, so he began to turn his hands about in dismay over what he had spent on it, while it had collapsed upon its trellises, and said, Oh, I wish I had not associated with my Lord anyone. So I wrote that down. And also people associating like dead prophets, saints as idols, and that's in chapter 16, 20 to 21. And those they invoke other than Allah create nothing, and they themselves are created. They are in fact dead, not alive, and they do not perceive when they will be resurrected.
And you know what else that verse is used for, right?
No.
To prove the death of Jesus.
Okay. Yes.
See?
Yeah.
It says those whom they call upon have created nothing, and that they themselves, the people that they're calling on, are created. They are dead. They're not living, and they don't know when they'll be raised. Who's the number one entity in this world that we know of that people call on?
Jesus.
Here it is. He's
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
The word is Maut. Viral Hayat. He's not Hayat, he's not living, he's Maut, he's dead. You see, Maut is the word used there. Because the other places, this is another discussion, but they use the word Tawafa, Wafatani, and they said that he's passed away or he went somewhere. Here the word is clearly Maut. Those whom they call on besides Allah, Jesus is number one.
Thank you.
Is he's Maut. He's not living. And he doesn't know when he'll be raised.
I wrote down chapter 379.
370.
It is not for a human prophet that Allah should give him the scripture and authority and prophethood, and then he would say to the people, be servants to me rather than Allah. Be instead, he would say, be pious scholars of the Lord because of what you have taught of the scripture and because of what you have studied. And I wrote also ego as an idol. Ego as an idol. Chapter 25, paragraph 43. Have you seen the one who takes his God, his own desire? Then would you be responsible for him? And I wrote chapter 45, paragraph 23.
43.
45, 23, I'm sorry, 23. Have you seen he who has taken as his God his own desire, and Allah has sent him astray? to knowledge and has set a seal upon his hearing, his heart, and puts over his vision a veil. So who will guide him after Allah? Then will you not be reminded? So, and so I wrote down also chapter 6:19. So I kind of went over all the different type of idols that the Quran mentions, and say what thing is great in testimony. Say Allah is witness between me and you, and this Quran was revealed to me that I may warn you thereby and whomever it reaches. Do you truly testify that with Allah there are other deities? Say, I will not testify with you. Say, indeed, Indeed, he is but one God, and indeed I am free of what you associate with him. And people also idolize religious leaders and scholars as idols. 931, chapter 931. They have taken their scholars and their monks as lords besides Allah, and also the Messiah, the son of Mary, and they were not commanded except to worship one God. There is no deity except him. Exalted is he above whatever they associate with him. So I wrote that. And I wrote down chapter 14:35. And mention, O Muhammad, when Abraham said, my Lord, make this city, Mecca, secure and keep me and my sons away from worshipping idols. And I also wrote down chapter 6, 162 to 164. Say, indeed, my prayer, my rites of sacrifice, my living and my dying are for Allah, Lord of the worlds. No partner has he, and this I have been commanded, and I am the first among you of the Muslims. Say, is it other than Allah I should desire as a Lord, while he is the Lord of all things? And every soul earn not blame except against itself, and no bearer of burdens will bear the burden of another. Then to your Lord is your return, and he will inform you concerning that over which you used to differ. And I also wrote chapter 3, paragraph 18. Allah witnesses that there is no deity except him, and so do the angels and those of knowledge, that he is maintaining creation in justice. There is no deity except him, the exalted in might, the wise. And I just want to end it with chapter 3:64. Say, O people of the scripture, come to a word that is equitable between us and you, that we will not worship except Allah, and not associate anything with him, and not take one another as lords instead of Allah. But if they turn away, then say, bear witness that we are Muslims, submitting to him. Sorry, it took a little bit while, but those are the
Well,
stuff
you got
that-
your
yeah.
presentation together and you got it across, that's what we wanted to do. Anybody wanna say anything to John regarding it?
Yeah, I have a lot of similarities with him. I have a lot of similarities, similar verses.
Yeah, okay. don't know how to do it. Anybody else has something that they wanna contribute to that, chapter, that verse rather, that research? Junaid, you have anything?
No, that was really good. I think we have pretty much the same verses.
Pretty much the same?
Yeah.
It was okay, it was fine.
Excuse me?
It was fine,
I'm saying, do you have,
Oh,
anybody
no,
have
no.
something to present?
no.
The present.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
you want to
present.
present. Oh, yeah, we can present.
Oh, the
Just-
present.
Just want to add to his.
No, I'm saying if you said you had pretty
Yeah.
much the same, ain't no need to present the same thing.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I have a
Because
little
that's
bit
what I
more.
meant. If you said I have pretty much the same,
Uh,
so if it's pretty much the same, then
yeah, then my
just
present-
present the maybe the things
Well, I
that
have a
are
little
not the
bit
same.
more.
Yeah, if it's
details.
not something that's not,
It's a little bit
or more detail, okay,
yeah,
good,
like
no
when he
problem.
mentioned the scholars and the monks, I kinda.
Okay, good,
expanded
okay,
it.
no problem, so we'll give you a chance to do that. Yeah, I'm just saying if it was the same, no need to go back over the same thing.
No.
Yeah. So if I can just add two verses
Good.
to his relating it 4 to 12.
Mhm,
So I had pretty much the same verses that he had,
mhm,
like 39, 45, 17, 46. Um, when when I read 4 to 12, the point was that what happens if you're invited to believe in the guidance,
mhm,
but you reject it, and it took me to 10:31 to 10:36
mhm,
to read the logic, what God showed us. That's the logic. It says, "Say who gives you sustenance from the heaven and the earth,
Mhm.
or who controls the hearing and the sight, and who brings from the living from the dead, and brings forth the dead from the living, and who regulates the affair?" Then they will say, "Allah."
mhm,
Say then, will you not then guard against evil? أَفَلَا تَتَّقُونَ.
mhm.
Such then is Allah your true Lord, Al-Haq, and what's there after the truth but error. And how then are you turned away? Thus does the word of thy Lord prove true against those who transgress, that they believe not. Say, is there anyone among your associate gods who produces the first creation, then reproduces it? Say, Allah produces the first creation, then He reproduces it. How are you then turned away? Say, is there any of your associate gods who guides to the truth? Say, Allah guides to the truth. Is He then who guides to the truth more worthy to be followed, or he who finds not the way unless he is guided? What's the matter with you? How do you judge? And most of them follow not but conjecture. Then surely conjecture will not avail aught against the truth. Truly Allah is knower of what they do. So if you're invited and if you don't accept it, and you accept it by associating other gods, there's the, like, okay, I'll accept it only if I associate other gods than beside Him, and this is the logic. If you read all these things, and if you if you still don't understand the associated gods, are they able to do that? No. So why are you doing it? So this basically is like an eye opener for those who turned away, and it also
Chapter 10,
10:31 to 36.
36. Okay, thank you.
It's just the basic logic. And why do you do that? Why don't you accept it when somebody tells you God alone? Since you're accepting when you're associating other gods, but your other gods, you cannot do that. Why? What's the logic behind it? Why aren't you using your mind? And instead of following the truth, why are you following then? And the other verse that I have in my notes that he didn't point is 68:34 to 45. Surely the dutiful have with their Lord gardens of bliss. Shall we then make those who submit as the guilty? What's the matter with you? How do you judge? Or have you a book wherein you read that you shall surely have therein what you choose? Or have you covenants from us an oath extending to the day of resurrection, that yours is surely what you judge? Ask them which of them will vouch for that. Or have they associated gods? Then let them bring their associates if they are truthful. On the day when there is a severe affliction and they are called upon to prostrate themselves, but they are not able. Their looks cast down, abasement will cover them, and they were indeed called upon to prostrate themselves, while yet they were saved. So leave me alone with him who rejects this announcement. We shall overtake them by degrees from whence they know not. And I bear with them, surely my plan is firm. That was pretty straightforward. And I have 670 in my notes too, but it's a little bit broad. I just want to concentrate on what happens to those who reject. That's the only reason I put that. It's a big verse. There are a lot of other things involved with that verse, but the main thing that I wanted to mention was the last part. What happens to those who the judgment to those who reject the truth.
What verse?
670.
What is it?
670.
670?
And leave those who take their religion, their deen, for a play and an idle sport, and whom this world's life has deceived, and remind man hereby, lest the soul be destroyed for what it has earned. It has besides Allah no friend nor intercessor, and though it offer every compensation, it will not be accepted from it. Those are they who are destroyed for what they earn. For them is a drink of boiling water and painful chastisement, because they kufur. So I just want to concentrate on the painful chastisement, because they kufur. This is really strong for somebody who is like, if somebody told me, it should just give me goosebumps, or at least like lead me to research more. What can I do to avoid this painful chastisement? Am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? So those are really like simply I just wanted to add to this presentation.
Great.
Those verses.
Anybody have to ask June anything regarding what he just said? No? Si, do you have anything? I know you got a late start on it.
Not really. I just like to bring another item into play. Where the law speaks about at most, that's 12106.
12106.
Yeah, where it says most don't believe without associating partners. With the law is saying that party of Allah, those who follow the Quran alone, and they believe in Allah alone. You see, this is the party of Allah. So it's a very narrow room for anything else,
Yes.
and that would lead you into shirk and mushrikin. So you have to follow closely the Quran alone and Allah,
Yes.
because most people, they don't trust in Allah without associating partners. Because I went over the rest. Everything else there.
Yeah, if I could just add to Sahid, I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. Like 12106 is like what you're just saying. Like most people say they believe in God. I have a lot of friends, I have a lot of relatives or whatever. But once again, it goes back to they believe. Chapter 40, paragraph 12. Yeah, they believe in God. They know that there's a God that exists, that created them, but they can't seem to believe in that one God or that one Allah without associating something or someone next to it. Whether it's it's the cross, whether it's a statue, whether it's one of the prophets, let's say Jesus or Muhammad, injecting, and getting to chapter 17, paragraph 46, the Quran alone. Like, that was so weird that I was reading it and I was like, wait a second, it's not supposed to be God alone in the Quran. No, it's Quran alone. And they even twisted that around to not say Quran alone because they want to be able to go. And even the people that are translating, you know, are kind of changing it around to leave room
Yeah, lead us right.
for the, because if they don't do that, then if they put down Quran alone, someone's gonna say, wait a second,
Yeah.
you know, it says Quran alone here, you know, why are you going to the Hadith? You know, why are you going to other man-written, you know, scriptures and so on and so forth. So once again, that 12:106 is most people can't believe in God alone until.
So how do you fix that, John? How do you fix that 1746? Because I did make a note on it since you brought it up now, so we'll go back to it.
Yeah.
I had made a note there, but since you went back to it again, I think now it's important to make sure that we can correct that. When it says, because as you said, some people are gonna try to interpret that as saying, when Allah is mentioned in the Quran alone. Or they're gonna say, when Allah is mentioned, when Allah alone is mentioned in the Quran. You see?
Yeah.
So it's gonna give two different senses there, two different understandings. So you wanna say, fi Quran wahdaha, in the Quran alone. They wanna say, Allah alone in the Quran, you
Yeah.
see?
Yeah.
So how do you correct that to make sure that your point is right, that you're talking about using the Quran alone to mention Allah? How do you correct that?
Truthfully, what's coming from my heart.
No, I'm talking about from the,
from the
Quran, yeah.
from the Quran.
Yeah.
The only way to fix it is to go to the lexicon and go for word. And
No, they do that, but they're gonna tell you that you just don't understand the syntax or something like that, the structure of the Arabic or whatever. They're gonna try to make their point and leave you at a stalemate. Then you're gonna say, well, that's the way I understand, that's what I understand, and whatever. I'm saying, is there any way to get out of that dilemma? Okay, to make it simple, just go to 40:12. That's our whole, that's our verse. Go to 40:12.
Yeah.
It says, whenever Allah alone is mentioned, the people disbelieve. I don't care where you mention it. In the Quran, outside the Quran, wherever, it doesn't matter now. Now it doesn't matter, does it? So you're clear, I don't care where you mention it. You're not happy when Allah alone is mentioned. That's what 40:12 is.
Yeah.
That solves the problem. Both the words have wahdaha in it.
Yeah.
So we're saying it's in the Quran, which we see is the Quran. The Quran alone. If you say no, what I'm saying, well, where else? And I don't care where else you mention it alone, you're still not happy. As a matter of fact, you disbelieve. Not just happy, I'm just being light with that. You become confident.
Yeah.
You see, so that ends that now, so they have nothing to stand with. You understand what I'm saying, June?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's any time you mention Allah alone by anybody on the planet Earth. Any person, whether it's the Quran, the Bible, the Torah, the Hindu books, whatever books you might mention, whenever God alone, that's why 12:106 says most people are mushriks. Because most people are not going to deal with God alone. So 40:12, that's why our verse there is so big and so powerful. You see, that's why I gave that verse as the homework assignment. That verse explodes into everything.
Yeah.
Everything comes to that verse. I don't care where it is. When you talk about shirk, that verse absorbs everything.
Yeah.
That verse, when you go back to that verse, you can't mention nothing to me about shirk that I can't bring that to that verse. Nothing. Nothing you can't mention to me that I can't bring back to that verse to solve it. You see?
Yes.
Follow me?
Yes. Yes.
So when they say Allah alone in the Quran, if you using the 40:12 as a proof text, but in 40:12 it says Allah alone, it doesn't say Quran alone.
It says when Allah alone, I don't care where you mention it, they disbelieve. I don't care where it is. So they mention it in the Quran, don't mention the Quran, mention it wherever you mention it, it doesn't matter. As long as you, whenever Allah alone is mentioned, because He's eternal, He was alone by Himself. He was eternal before anything. So he has to stay that way. So 4012 keeps him that way. You see? 4012 keeps him eternal alone. You see? So whenever Allah, what does 4012 say? Whenever Allah alone is mentioned, the people disbelieve. Every person alone. Anybody who doesn't like the Allah and his revelation, which is in our case is the Quran, they disbelieve. You see? I don't care what you mention, but mention anybody else, anything, anybody, any person or whatever, and they believe. You follow me? So when I deal with what I'm dealing with here, perhaps I'll lay it out more, because this is why on my page here, I got Al-Quran chapter 40 verse 12, the black hole of the Kafirun and the Mushrikeen. You see? You know the black hole is in the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is what this 12 is with shirk. The 4012 is the black hole for shirk and kuf. It sucks anything that's shirk and kuf into it. Follow me?
Yes.
So I'll get into it a little further, and then perhaps it'll become clearer. I'm just saying right now, to solve that problem, because you're going to be confronted with that. Somebody come to me with it, they're lost immediately.
So if you keep on going to chapter 40, paragraph
Verse 12. Everything is done,
right,
John.
there's no way,
No escape for anybody who doesn't accept the Quran alone.
right,
And I'm saying Quran alone. It means the revelation from God alone, whether it be the Bible, the Torah, the Injil, whatever it is. It has to be God and his revelation alone. It has to be God, the messenger, meaning the message. God and the message alone is what it has to be all the time.
So it doesn't have to say Quran alone in 40.
In 4012, no, it says anything. So it's there, but in case you don't like it there, because it says fi Quran wahda.
Right.
Yeah.
It says in the Quran alone. But if you want to say alone in the Quran and all that kind of stuff and play gibberish, I say, okay, leave that alone. Just deal with chapter 40, verse 12, and then now you're just done. It's any time you mention, anything you mention. You see, if you don't like that, so now I'll suck you into the black hole and now you're gone. You say, oh, please, I'll accept what you said before. I'll accept the old one. Okay, please, get me out of this black hole. You see?
well, Hamza, what about 3945?
What about it?
Like, can we go over that?
Yeah.
Because that's a good one too, because I used to use that with Muslims that are, the traditionalist Muslims.
Yeah, that works too, yeah.
That one works too,
Yeah,
right?
of course, yeah, but it's not as strong as the 4012.
Yeah,
All of the Wahdahu verses work, but this is the granddaddy of them all.
yeah, 4012, right?
Yeah,
So 3945.
yeah, all of them work. All the verses with the Wahdahu. You see, don't forget how many times Allah is mentioned in the Quran, the name Allah. Thousands of times.
Right, I was just gonna say.
But how many times did Allah specifically used the word, tax on the word Wahdaha? 6 times.
6 times.
5 for him, and like you said, and 1 for the Quran.
One for the Quran, yeah.
So that means that every time you mention Allah, you have to think Wahdaha, regardless,
Right.
because it's Allah alone. It ain't the other times Allah and somebody else. It's just He makes it clear there for you.
Right.
You see, just like you said with your DNA.
Right.
In your DNA, you don't have to. You don't have to say nothing. Nobody has to tell you nothing. It's already in you. That you've been told.
Right.
That's why when you come to Allah alone, yourself testifies. It's yourself that testifies on your behalf.
Because there are people that raise a question. They say, oh, they're really poor countries. They don't have access to the
Yeah.
Quran or
Yeah.
to the internet. But God has given us a chance.
Exactly.
Because when He uses the word in the Quran as the children of Adam,
Yeah.
He means all of humankind, meaning
Yeah.
males and females.
Yeah.
That it's in our DNA at all times, from the very beginning that we're
Yeah.
born till we die. No matter what road we
Yeah.
take, there's that something in us, that natural instinct.
It's God talking to you. Allah has
Right.
spoken to yourself. Allah spoke to yourself.
Right,
It's Him talking to you. He talked to you. He
Right.
told you who He is
right.
directly.
So then we can't say our fathers
said you
or
didn't
mothers
know.
were teaching us
Yeah.
this traditional
Yeah.
Muslim, or taught us that Jesus was God, or
Yeah.
we can't say it because God is
Right,
letting
and every
us
day
know that.
yourself is telling you that's wrong, but you don't, but you push yourself back and you like these other things because there's other external things that you like to get. Look, in order for me to get in with that party, I have to say what they're saying. So
Right.
self, you just be quiet for a minute and let me go hang out over here.
Right. Or just to fit in,
Yeah,
or
you
just to
see,
be
right.
a part of the group.
Right, so you just tell yourself, look, just calm down.
Right.
You see? You ever seen that commercial where that little thing is running, the lady gotta go to the bathroom and the little thing is pulling and all that little thing? You know, it's like your naps, come on, you know. Don't be going over there and you say, get away from me, let me do what I gotta do. So, we'll see further, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying that's the kind of situation, this 4012 is massive.
Yeah.
It's not a joke, it's the most massive thing that you can find in the Quran, and I'm gonna show you that.
Yeah.
Is why that is, you know. And that's a Wahdaha verse, and it's got a lot of stuff involved there.
And I used to use 3945 because that's a lot of people can't handle this. Like
Mhm.
even when you say La ilaha illallah, right?
Mhm.
They don't feel comfortable, you
Mhm.
know, until something else is injected in that.
Mhm.
So, and when Allah is mentioned alone,
Yeah,
the hearts of those who do not believe in the hereafter,
yeah,
and if you don't believe in the hereafter,
yeah,
and you need to associate something with
Yeah.
God, hereafter shrink with aversion. But when
Yeah.
those worshipped other than Him are mentioned, immediately they rejoice.
yeah,
They act like they believe in God.
yeah,
You know, they say they
Yeah.
believe in God,
Yeah.
but something has to be alongside of
Yeah.
God.
yeah. You see, because when you, since you went back there, when you spoke about chapter 7, verse 172, you said it's in your DNA to believe in God.
Yeah.
I'm saying no, it's in your DNA to know who God is, not to believe, to know.
That's,
You see?
Yes, you're right.
To
You're
know.
Right.
So take a look at chapter 47, verse 19. What does it say?
47, 19.
Is that the one that says, am I your Lord?
Huh?
Is that the one that says, am I your Lord?
No. 47:19. That the one that we just talked about, 7:172, is the one that says, "I'm not your Lord."
And those who follow.
You see what it says? The
So-
word says. See the word up there in Arabic? It says ilm. The word is alama, no. But before it says fa'alam, fa'alam. That's imperative. That's a command to know that there's no God but God. So why is he telling you to know that? Because you start putting in your DNA to know that already, not to believe, to know.
You said
You
47?
you made
You're 19.
it's Allah has made it has commanded you to know. He gave you the freedom to believe. You follow me?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have freedom, free will to believe. He's made you to know. See, you didn't have no free will to know. He made you know. He compelled you to know. When you said there's no compulsion in the deen, well, he compelled you to know that. That wasn't no deen. That was before you came here. Before you came into existence, he compelled you to know who he is. But when you came to existence, now you have freedom of choice. Now you can believe or whatever, but you will always know because your self is dead. You can't say you didn't know. That's why the verse says you won't have no argument against him because you know. It's just a choice of words, John. That's all I'm pointing.
Yeah.
I made it there, but I said, well, I'm not going to mess with it. But since you went back there, so that's the reason for everything. So we're back here now. So let me put it on.
No, I like this chapter
Yeah.
47:19
You're
because
gonna like it even more. So
yeah, because believe it or not, then it comes down to what we know
Yeah.
as human beings.
yeah,
We know of God, and,
Yeah.
and we know of His existence, and we know.
that's why the verse you said, ask them who created heaven and earth, they will say Allah. Well, if he created heaven and earth, that means everything. Why would you be talking about something else? Why would you want some little demigod that's running the waters and taking care of your sewers and all that?
So even the mushrikeen,
They know.
They know. that
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows
Everybody
whether
knows.
whether you're a believer or not.
Everybody knows.
that
Every human being knows. It's in their DNA.
right.
You're made to know. Now you've been given freedom of choice. Everything in creation knows and they do it. They don't have no freedom. You have freedom. You can act like you don't know.
Right.
You can disbelieve.
Right.
You see?
Right.
You can disbelieve meaning be ungrateful.
Now the question is, as we're talking, I'm thinking to myself, the jinns don't know though.
The jinn do know.
How do they know? Does it say it in there?
Look at where it said that you read where a part of the jinn heard the
Read
Quran.
the
They said
Quran.
we heard a wonderful reading and all
No,
that.
but 7172 only talks about the children of Adam. It doesn't talk about the jinn.
Good,
Am I right?
good. So let's look over here, chapter 72.
What?
We went to-
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go into something else, but I just,
man,
you know,
you gotta get, this is part of the journey, man, you gotta
Seven and
pay
two?
attention.
So let's look at chapter 72, starting at verse 1.
okay, say, O Muhammad, it has been revealed to me that a group of jinn listened and said, indeed, we have heard an amazing Quran.
Yeah.
Also, the jinns know the Quran.
The Quran is for man and jinn. The Quran is the
Yeah.
messenger is to bring the guidance to the men and the jinn.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
the jinn know this too.
Yeah, the jinn know that they're responsible. That's why Allah said He's gonna put you in hell with jinn and men.
Right.
Because they know they're in there. They listen to this Quran also. They're listening right now to this session.
Okay,
Yeah,
But-
they're listening to this session right here now.
but then when I go back to 7177,
But
sorry, I
no,
don't
we
need
didn't
to
keep reading.
get.
Let's keep reading now.
Oh, okay.
Say, it has been revealed to me that a party of the jinn listened so that they said, surely we have heard a wonderful Quran, guiding to the right way, you see? Guiding to the right way. So we believe in it, you see? We believed in it. And we shall not set up any one equal with our Lord. That's what the jinn is saying.
Mm-hmm.
And He exalted the majesty of our Lord has not taken consort nor son. They're not making no sonship or none of that mess. You see. And the foolish among us used not to forge extravagant lies against the law. And we thought that men and jinn did not utter a lie against the law. And person from among us used to seek refuge with person from among the jinn. So they increased in evil deed. Now let me see here. If you go over to verse 11, I don't read everything. It says, some of us are good and others of us are below that. And we are sects following different ways, just like in the humanity. They're doing the same thing
Yeah.
we're doing, you see? And 12, we know that we cannot escape Allah either in the earth nor escape Him in the flight. And when we heard the guidance, Al-Huda, that's the word there. There's only one Al-Huda. Al-Huda, and the last source of the Al-Huda is the Quran. Al-Huda was given to Moses, was given to all the prophets. The last revelation contained in the Al-Huda is the Quran, not Hadith and Fiqh and Sunnah and Maliki Madhabs and all that stuff, and Shafi, Hanbali, and whatever. None of that mess. Only Al-Huda is in this Quran as the complete, perfect form of Al-Huda now. So the jinn is saying, they got more sense than some of these Sunnis.
Right.
Look, and they said, when we heard the guidance, Al-Huda, we believed in it. So whoever believes in it, in his Lord, he fears neither loss nor injustice. You can read right on down there, just that segment about that. You follow me?
Yeah.
So the jinn, they hearing this Quran. They hearing it just like they got a more greater insight into stuff than some of us do, because they're like playing where they seeing and knowing, and they can see and know ours. We can only see and know ours, not theirs. They see theirs and ours.
Right.
You see?
So they have a party of jinn that disbelieve and a party of jinn
Right,
that
they have
believe.
sex, they're doing the same thing we're doing. They have sex the same, they got Maliki Madhab and Jinn Fiqh and all that stuff.
Yeah, they got a gin fake.
Yeah, they got some Jinn tafsirs.
Gin fake.
But God gave us that.
Tafsir Ibn
Yeah, they
Iblis.
got their leaders, man.
Yeah,
They got their
You know.
leaders.
Ibn Iblis.
yeah, Ibn Iblis. Tafsir Ibn Iblis. And some of the Sunnis are following that.
But what God did for us is God gave the human being, meaning men or women, the human being, like almost like a head start in 7172 to instill in our DNA, right?
Yeah. Well, he put it in the jinn everywhere. In all his creation, they know.
Mhm.
In all of creation, everything knows who their God is. You see, when Allah commanded the heaven and the earth to come together, He made them speak. You see, He anthropomorphized them. He made them like animated beings. So when He said come together, they said we come together willingly. That's what the heaven and the earth said. They said we come together willingly.
Right.
You see, it's in their DNA.
Yeah.
You see? Allah chapter 50, verse 41 or somewhere down there. Allah says, I will soon show them their signs. Let's take a look and see.
50,
Chapter 50, verse 41, I think it is.
This is the day.
Oh,
and the
50, let me see, is it? Let me see if it's 51. Chapter 49, let me see. What is that verse where it says, we will soon show them our signs? It says, we will soon show them our signs within themselves in the farthest regions of the universe.
41:53?
Is it? 41:53?
That's what it says.
Yeah, we will show them.
41:53, right? 41:53? What does it say?
We will soon show them
Yeah.
our signs in the farthest regions
And within themselves.
and among their own people
Yeah,
until it is quite clear to them that it is the truth.
yeah,
Is it not enough that they, thy Lord, is a witness over
Yeah.
all things?
In other words, the signs of Allah's existence is in the farthest regions of the universe. That goes with the expanding universe. As far as this, everything there knows that the signs bear witness to who Allah is.
Yes.
And within themselves, the furthest you can go in yourself right now, as we understand, is your DNA.
Right.
So within your DNA, you'll see the fingerprint of Allah, and I'm use that not to be in an anthropomorphic way, that Allah's fingerprints, but you'll see the work of Allah in your DNA and the farthest region. You can't get no further in yourself than your DNA. You can't get no further out of yourself than the expanding universe. So Allah says within them ayats, He'll show you that He's there. So everything, the universe bears witness to who Allah is.
Right.
Everything bears witness to Allah.
They know who Allah
You see,
is.
they know who He is. They bear witness to that. You see. So that's the story here. You follow me?
Yes.
I mean that can become a whole different lecture, and we'll leave where we're at, because we just keep tacking on, and we keep going places, and the first thing you know, we done went into something else, you know.
Yeah.
So we want to kind of stay focused on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I just somehow know that we came back around to
Yeah.
this. So just to put a little more light on it, but there's more. Maybe the next time we sit, when we're not so rigid on this year, we can explore some of these things a little further,
Okay.
right? All right, so somebody else has something about 4012 they want to talk about real quick?
Yeah, I'll present.
Saeed, did you have anything?
No, no.
Oh, you did?
I'll-
You
I'll-
did, yeah. All right, so, Saifuddin.
Yo. Alright, so here you go. So yeah, so I just wrote a little summary. The things that, what does it mean to associate with God?
Okay,
Idolizing one's wealth and traits, which Jean mentioned about the garden. This is not updated. Okay, taking one's desire as a god. 45. Wait, want to take a picture of that? Give me one sec. 45:23. Obeying those who dispute God's verses. 6:121. Fabricating sanctions. 6:148 and 6:139. Well, there's a whole 10 verses. It's very nice to read those. Making dua to making supplication to a deity other than God. Turning your presence to other than God, because this one is everything gets destroyed except for God. So there's no point saying Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he can't do salah on him. He cannot hear you or whatever. Okay, and judging by other criteria instead of what's God's, instead of what's God's. Okay, yeah, this is not updated, but let me see if I can. Alright, so yeah, it's not well organized. So yeah, idolizing one's wealth. We talked about this with John.
Mm-hmm.
We can skip that, and I also added in the shaitan when God said, "What prevented you from submitting? I mean, prostrating to as I commanded you." And He said, I am more better than he. You created me from fire, and you created him from clay. So arrogance is what kicked the shaitan out of the heaven. And God later tells him there's no room of arrogance in heaven. So I thought that was nice to know. A desire. Have you seen the one who has taken his gods, his own desire? Have you taken as his God his own desire, and God has sent him astray due to the knowledge, and He has set a seal upon his hearing and heart, and put over his vision a veil. So will you guide him after God? Who will guide him after God? Then will you not be remembered? Then will you not be remembered? Alright. This is the extra stuff I had. Oh,
No.
I think you mentioned that, right?
Which one?
45:23?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so these are the extra ones that I had. Those who disputes with God's ayats. 6:121. Do not eat of that upon which the name of God has not been mentioned. For indeed it is grave disobedience. And indeed the devils inspires their allies to dispute with you. So you here is plural. This was supposed to be them. In Arabic it's plural. And if you were to obey them, indeed you will be the associators. So this is a characteristic of being an associator. When you say, here's a command, you have to recite God's name before you eat, and people say, no you don't, and you obey those people, then you become a mushrik. Because these people are inspired by the devil, as it says in the ayah.
Yeah, but a lot of people take that verse and they say that you have to mention God's name on it when you're sacrificing.
Now look what I wrote down here.
So,
Look what I wrote over here. What does that say?
Eat John?
John, right?
Right.
Eat John. I knew John was going to comment on this. I wrote it down. So when you said that verse,
How'd
as
you
soon as you said that verse, I wrote it down. I know you wasn't going to let that verse go.
I don't know. I just
so okay.
How'd you know? No,
Huh?
you didn't. You're joking, right?
I wrote it down right there.
Wow.
All right.
It's right there.
So
Now, wait, back up, cause I'm new now, so what was that?
it's a
Because
history.
I know John it has some attachment for this verse. There's something that, it's an inside joke, so that's not
Yeah,
inside
It's an
yeah.
inside joke. It has
Something that
history.
we know that John has interest in this verse. You see? And so as soon as you quoted that verse,
Yeah.
John had said that, and I wrote down John.
I couldn't hold myself.
You see? And I said, now he's about to get away, but when you kept talking about it and then he jumped in, I said, oh, he came on.
What did you say, John?
Because a lot of people take this verse and they say, not on what you eat, you say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, you say God's name on. They take that verse and they say that it's when you sacrifice the animal, you need to say Bismillahir Rahmanir, not before you eat. But that verse it could mean, let's say you
Eating broccoli.
broccoli, peanuts,
Yeah,
or
right,
whatever. You're just thinking about God and you're saying thank you God for this,
Yeah.
Food or
That's it.
this drink or whatever. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
But yeah, then the people who are inspired by the devils, they try to put words in God, like more sanctions, which we're gonna.
Right, exactly.
And if you obey them, you're an associator.
So
Well-
is that what the ayat is saying?
Well, what I see as also what the ayat is saying, what I understand it to be saying, is because don't forget, you're going back 1,400 years ago for the revelation of the ayat. But you have to go back even further than that from what people were doing. So the ayat came to correct what people had been doing years and years before the revelation of the ayat. and people were sacrificing things to idols.
That's what it was doing.
And they were sacrificing things to Baal and to Zeus and to whomever, Latin, and people were eating that. So Allah said, don't eat that food in which Allah's name has not been mentioned on it. You see, I don't see it saying you have to mention Allah's name, but you can't eat it if somebody else's name has been mentioned on it.
Right.
If you just eat it and you ain't mentioned nobody's name on it, I don't see nothing wrong with that. But if you know somebody's other name, don't eat that.
Right.
You follow me?
Yes.
So don't eat, you heard somebody slaughter that, and so I equate it with when the people said Bismillah Allahu Akbar.
See?
That's
No,
not
yeah,
Allah's,
another
that's
one.
not Allah's
Akbar.
name or description, Akbar. I'm not
Mhm.
eating that. Who's Akbar? That's a comparative. You comparing Allah with somebody else, and that's not his name. He's Al Kabir. He's not Akbar. You see. So when you say Bismillah Allahu Akbar, I don't know what that is. So I'm not even interested in that. But I'm just saying that's something we can look into. We can talk about it, whatever.
Sure.
But I just happen to know that you was gonna be concerned with that. I'm not trying to make a lecture out of it. I'm just saying it has a broader meaning that what maybe we're just looking at.
Yeah.
So when we talk about it, when we talk about eating food or whatever, if we want to discuss that, we can get into it in a little more detail.
Sure.
You see, but the people were sacrificing things to all kind of idols, and the laws told them don't eat that.
Right.
You know, Allah's name has not been mentioned. So you, when you eat every day, you said Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, or Bismillah, or whatever. So you can do that, you know, whatever you're doing.
So you can say Bismillah and not say Bismillah.
I'm saying, you know, it's up to you, whatever you do, you see. Whatever you're doing, that's you. If you want to remember Allah by doing that, I don't see no thing where it says when you eat that, you have to say Bismillah. You just make sure you ain't saying nothing other foolishness,
Yes.
you see.
Yes.
So that means when you drink, what about when you breathe?
Okay, isn't that
Because
also-
the food is to sustain you. What about air? When every time you inhale, do you say Bismillah?
Yes.
This is saving your life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stop breathing and see how long you eat. You eat a dinner and then go and say Bismillah, eat your dinner, and then go outside and stop breathing for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. What I see how long that Bismillah dinner is gonna hurt you. You see? So I mean, what do? You have to remember Allah in everything that you do.
Yeah.
You see, be thankful to Allah. But anyway, that's just my looking at that. I'm not putting that out as no doctrine or dogma or something like that. That's just me. I have to stand before Allah with my understanding.
Sure.
See, but we can discuss it.
I see.
Great. So, fabricating, 6:139, and they say, what is in the bellies of the animals is for our males and forbidden for our female, but if it's born dead, it's for all of us. We will punish them for their description. Indeed, he is wise and knowing. So, you know, they're making rules that are not given by God, and they're kind of implementing on themselves.
Yeah. Another thing, like when Allah says in the Quran that all food was lawful for the Jews before the Torah was revealed. You see? I said, what do you mean all food? All food was lawful for the Jews before the Torah was revealed. So, excuse me, sir, what do you mean all food? Is pig a food? Yes. Well, that's got to be included in all food, wouldn't it? Huh?
Yes. Yes.
Anybody know what the verse is? Real quick, so we can put this on the tape. Since we're taping this, real quick, just throw this in there to handicap some people. Since we're just passing, this is not part of the thing, but we'll just throw this in as a bad boy activity. Some bad boy activity jumping off of you. I think is it 16 something?
17.
Okay, 3:693.
393?
All food was lawful to the children of Israel except what Israel has made unlawful to himself before the Torah was revealed.
Good.
Say, so bring the Torah and recite it if you are truthful.
So all food was lawful for the children of Israel except what they made unlawful for themselves. That is before the Torah was revealed. When the Torah was revealed, apparently they made something unlawful for themselves. But all food before that was lawful. So I have to ask the rabbi, excuse me, sir, was pork a food at any time in the history of mankind?
Yes.
Yes. So that food was lawful for you. It was halal,
Right.
pork, before the Torah was revealed.
Right.
So bring it and read it. Now, what about the verse where it says, what Allah has made, we recite to you what we have made unlawful for the Jews. What verse is that? Let's see what Allah made unlawful for the Jews.
6146.
Huh?
6146.
Okay, John, you're up on that, huh?
I think it is.
Yeah,
Well, let's
it's
take a
right.
look.
Yeah.
6146?
Yeah.
Hold on, Bella. So my phone goes.
Say I find.
Yeah, I got 147. Okay, good, you're good.
Right.
So look, and to those who are Jews, we forbade every animal having claws. Does a pig have claws?
No.
No, okay, good. And of the oxen, of the sheep, oxen and sheep, we forbade the fat thereof.
Yeah.
That's not pigs, right?
No.
Except such as was on their backs or their entrails or that which was with their bones. So except the fat that's on the back, if you got a little fat on the back, or on the entrails, that the guts, the hog maws and chitlins and stuff that southern folks like to eat. If you got a little fat on that while you get ready to stew that up, don't worry about it. You see? Or if you get making like the little cow bone soup or something like that and you got a little fat on it, don't worry about that. This was a punishment we gave them on account of their rebellion, and we are surely truthful. So I don't see nothing about pork there,
No.
huh?
No.
So pork was lawful before the Torah.
Right.
Allah's telling you that what we made unlawful, there ain't no pork there.
Right.
So who made?
And there's a verse that allows us to eat the food of the Christians and the Jews.
Yeah, good. That's a good. Oh, he came up with that. Oh, yeah. Oh,
I didn't, it's fair. I just.
Yeah, it's no problem. Look.
So Hamza, why? We're getting off the subject.
No, I'm just
It's
being
not
bad
a
boy for a minute
No, no,
because
no.
we're recording this, but I'm just putting this down. Ain't nobody can argue with this thing.
Right.
Maybe somebody can come up and argue. I'm saying Allah says all food was lawful for the Jews before the Torah, except what they made unlawful for themselves. So I'm saying, did they make pork unlawful for themselves? We already went through an election and we talked about this. You see?
Right.
They used to worship the pig. You see? So Allah didn't make it unlawful before the Torah, and now they have the Torah, and Allah ain't making it unlawful for them. You see? This is what Allah says He forbade them here. And that has nothing to do with pork. But that's something we can discuss further.
Right.
I mean, did you have a point you want to bring right now?
Then we're gonna go into different topics.
Okay, so let's
Yeah.
leave it. But I just wanted to put that on the record
Yeah.
out there for some of our Sunni Muslim brothers
Yeah.
who got all the time for a lot of foolishness. Well, let them deal with that. And they can come back and we can get into that, because eventually I'm going to post that thing about pork on YouTube. So this is like a head start so they can get ready for when it shows up.
Because believe it or not, my kids are asking me about pork, and
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
very difficult to.
Well,
you know,
there's the verses right there.
Right.
So we can eat their food and they can eat ours.
Right. Right.
Like you said, their food is lawful for us and our food is lawful for them.
Right.
You see? So they're gonna start talking about, well, kanzir and all that kind of businesses, and we deal with that. But
Right.
we see that if you wanna think kanzir is for you and the Quran is something haram, meaning pig, well, it wasn't for the Jews and you can eat their food, so I won't eat your halal, you know, unless you make some halal pig, I won't deal with you, I'll go eat the kosher pig from the Jew.
Yeah.
You see, which
Yeah.
is lawful for me.
And if they argue with you, you can always use
Yeah.
42:16, which says, and those who argue concerning God after He has responded to them, their argument is invalid with their Lord, and upon them is wrath and severe punishment. So after you
Safer's
finish,
trying to get busy up in here. Look, he's all laying back. You know, they're gonna tell you there's a hadith about you laying back on your couch talking about what is lawful.
oh, man, that is so hard.
They're gonna get you for that. You better sit up straight.
Ready?
All right, so let's continue on.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Did you was going further?
Oh
right?
yeah, I didn't finish yet. I still have some stuff, but running through technical difficulties. All right. So we were at fabricating, right? Yeah, and also so fabricating is a behavior of those who make association with God, right? And there's another verse like 6:148. Those who associate with God will we'll say if God had willed, we would not have associated, and neither would our fathers, nor would we have prohibited anything or sanctioned anything. Likewise, did those before deny until they tasted our punishment? Say, do you have any knowledge that you can produce for us? You follow except assumptions, and you are but a falsifier.
That goes right behind what we just talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, keep going on. So supplication. This one can go a little longer. So 2888, and do not invoke with the God another deity. There is no deity except Him. Everything will be destroyed except His presence. His is the judgment, and to Him you will be returned. Okay, so 7189. It is He who created you from one soul and created it from it its mates, that he might dwell in security with her. And when He covers her, she carries a light burden and continues with therein. And when it becomes heavy, they both invoke God, their Lord. If you had given us a good, we will surely be among the grateful. But when He gives them a good, they associate to Him concerning that which He has given them. Exalted is God, what they associate with Him.
Now you know what that verse is about, right?
Yes.
What is it?
So when
That verse right there, 39:8.
39:8. Oh, this one. Right. Adversity. Okay. So when 39:8. When adversity touches a man, he calls upon his Lord, turning to Him alone. And then when He bestowed on him favor from Himself, he forgets Him, God, whom He called upon before.
No, I'm sorry. That the one where we were talking about when He covers her. What verse
Oh.
was that?
So 7:189.
Yeah.
It is He who created you from one soul. So he's talking about like creation of man and woman, and when
Yeah.
you make your baby, they say, God, please give us.
Yeah.
I think he mentioned it, John, right?
I mentioned
You
that.
mentioned that verse?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that verse is ruling out any virgin birth, right?
Oh yeah. Oh.
Huh? That verse rejects the virgin birth of Jesus. That's another bad boy on the tape now. Be a bad boy again.
Okay, say that again.
No, there is. Oh,
Excuse me?
there's a better verse. I can pull it
There's a
up.
better verse
Yeah.
than this here?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, you can talk about how can the law have somebody has no concept and all that, no?
Yeah. Wasn't there a verse where how can God create a son when He doesn't have a mate?
Yeah, that's chapter 42, verse 11 and all
So
that.
now, how does this negate virgin birth?
That shows you how conception takes place. That's the law of mates, law of pairs. That's the law of pairs. How conception takes place. It tells you right there. That's the law of how you procreate.
What
says,
ayat
look,
is that?
It is He who created you from one single soul and created His mate. You see?
Yeah.
He created you from a single soul from His mate. Chapter 4, verse 1. You see? Ya ayyuhan nas taqu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahida wa khalaqa minha zawja, and from them right on through the verse. So that verse there says He created you from a single soul and from it its mate, that He might dwell with her in security with her. In other words, be comforted with them or whatever the situation is. And when He covers her, you see, when He covers her, when they get sexually inclined, you see, she carries a light burden. You see, after they have sexual relation, she gets pregnant. You see, that's how she gets pregnant. That's the law.
Yeah.
You see?
What ayat is that? Say.
7:189. See, she carries a light burden and continues therein. And when it becomes heavy after like 9 months, they both invoke Allah, oh Lord, if you give us a good one, we hope we have a good, healthy child. The child's getting ready to be born, I hope he's healthy and all of that, you see? And surely will be among the grateful, you see? It says now when He gives them a good one, they associate to Him to say that where He has given them, you see?
Yeah.
See, that's where I thought that they're idolizing their
The
child.
child.
Yeah, but it's not the child that they associating someone else concerning what Allah gave them. It's not the child that they're associating. You're not associating every child you have with Allah. You're not doing that. It's you're associating But you see, when you call to Allah, you call to Allah to give you a good one. But when you, it's like when Allah, when you're out on the ship, and Allah, you're in the sea, and then the ship is doing, you call to Allah. When He brings you back, then you go back to your foolishness. You don't go and now and start worshiping your son and all that kind of thing because He got you off the ship. No, you're thinking that maybe the captain of the ship was, you want to give him, oh, thank you, captain, and all, it hadn't been for you, wouldn't have been saved. You see, but yet you were calling to Allah. You didn't call the captain to save you. You see, sometimes I've done it myself. When we're on a plane, when I say I've done it myself, you know, you have turbulence and all that, and when you get off the plane, you walk by the captain and say, "Thank you, good flight." You know, you thank them. You know, you're so grateful for that.
Yes.
But meanwhile, you were making your dua to Allah, and you were thanking Allah for having helped you in that situation. You follow me?
Yes. I actually saw a video, Hamza, of a plane in distress, and everybody on the plane gets and everybody starts calling on God, praying to God, you know, God, please help us, whatever.
What's up?
And then
Excuse me.
Charge.
Hmm?
I need to charge my phone. It's dying.
Oh, okay. I thought you still recording, yeah?
Yeah, it's
Okay, good. Okay.
and
I
then
thought you
and
had
then when
no
the
problem.
plane
Yeah, I was
lands
ready to shoot you,
safely,
Yeah.
everybody on the plane
Yeah.
says,
No,
"Oh,
Paul,
thank
yeah,
you,
yeah.
Captain, thank you."
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
right.
they were just that's exactly what
Exactly.
you said.
So this is what's going on in this kind of verse here. You
Yeah,
see?
I agree with you now,
Yeah.
but I thought when I was reading
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
I thought that they were
Giving
idolizing
No,
the
that's
child.
not the child. No, it's not
No.
the child. They're giving praise to somebody else now. Maybe it was the midwife. Maybe somebody else. I don't know who. You don't know who those folks are.
Okay,
They could have been idol worshippers or worshiping whoever.
right.
You see, but meanwhile, everybody when the situation is real,
When
you call
sincere,
on Allah.
right?
You know, that's when that's the time. That's why the people used to tell you that, look, when somebody's sick, you go and ask them to make dua for you. Because why? Because that person is getting ready to die now, and their dua is kind of clear. It's, I mean, more earnest. You see, they're not playing around. So, I mean, I'm just saying that we can talk about this further.
Yeah.
If we want to take this ayat as a subject of discussion and study it,
No,
we can
no,
do
no.
it. I'm just simply saying that
Right.
that verse rules out any immaculate conception.
Right.
I mean, any not immaculate conception, but virgin birth. Even immaculate conception to that also, and virgin birth, meaning virgin conception. There's no virgin birth. All birth is the same. It should be virgin conception. You see, not birth. Everybody's born the same way unless somebody's baby comes out the ear or something like that. You see, so it's that's the situation we're talking about.
Alright, moving on. And 39:8. When an adversary touches a man, he calls upon his Lord, turning to him alone, and when he bestows on him a favor from himself, God, he forgets him whom he called upon before. Let's see. And he makes rival with God to mislead from his way. Say, enjoy your disbelief for a little. Indeed, you are the companions of hellfire. So how do you know when a person does a rival with God? 2:165. And yet among the people are those who take other gods as equal, or actually rival. That's the word, andada. They love them as they love God.
Yeah.
But those who believe are stronger in love for God, and if only they have who have wronged would consider that when they see the punishment, that all power belongs to God and that God is severe in punishment. So I thought this verse was good for like the Sunnis and Christians, because you know they love Muhammad, they love Jesus, they have
Yeah.
holidays for Muhammad and
Yeah.
Jesus. They try to look like Muhammad with the beard and the tradition.
Yeah.
So the immense kind of love, but they don't show immense love with it's as almost as equal to God's, you know. I mean, they can deny that, but
Well,
the
they
behavior-
do it. If you see when they make cartoon pictures about what they think is
Oh
the
yeah,
prophet,
that's a good point.
the people ride in the street and all that.
Yeah.
Yet you got crosses of Jesus being the Son of God, God incarnate, and ain't nobody riding about that.
No.
They have an interfaith dialogues with the people. You have an interfaith dialogue with a man who got a cross with Jesus hanging on his neck. And you ain't have no fit about that. That's supposed to be God incarnated, you see? And so you don't have no problem with that. But draw a cartoon picture of what you think is Muhammad, and you're ready to burn down the city.
Right.
You see, this is foolishness. So you idolize him, and you love him more than you love Allah.
Charlie
You see,
Hebdo.
actions speak louder than words,
Yeah.
and so those are your actions.
That's true.
You see, so that's
Yeah,
the
you make fun
story.
of Muhammad, they go kill the comedian, or they threaten the comedian. But if you make fun of God, it's normal for them. Like,
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
A lot of comedians make fun of God all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
They get threats from Muslims. All right, moving on. Presence and do not invoke 2888. Do not invoke with God another deity. There is no deity except Him. Everything will be destroyed except His presence. His is a judgment, and to Him you will be returned. So yeah, where does it say turn your? Where does it say turn toward the messenger's presence? Right? It doesn't. Indeed, I have 679. Indeed, I have turned my presence toward He who had created the heaven and the earth, inclining toward the truth, and I am not of those who associate other with God.
Mhm.
And every soul will taste death. 3:185. Every soul will taste death.
Mhm.
So I didn't finish my homework, but I was trying to put them together as to say, when you say like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we shouldn't be saying that because he cannot hear you or respond to you, right? And if you say, oh, but God commanded us to say so, salli ala Muhammad, it was for the believers at the time of Muhammad, it's not
And that's a
universal.
different argument you're making also. That's a different argument. It's just about the tashahhud. You see, when you say Assalamu alaikum ayyuhan nabiyyu,
Oh yeah.
that's the vocative, and that's a different argument, which I'll
Oh.
be touching on in a minute. So I don't want you to mess up my argument with that.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Because yeah, when they're
Yeah,
praying, they
yeah.
do an active voice, like
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
there, he's listening to
Yeah.
them, right?
Yeah.
So every soul will taste death, and Muhammad is a human. He doesn't hear you or doesn't respond to you. All right, judging. That's my favorite part.
Mhm.
Say 657. Say, indeed, I am on a clear evidence from my Lord, and you have denied it, and I do not have that for which you have impatient. You are impatient. The judgment is only for God. So the word "only" was used there.
Innama illah.
Yeah.
One of those. Yeah.
Al-hikmah illa lillah.
Yeah.
He narrates the truth, and he is the best of deciders.
Mhm.
So the mainstream Muslims will use 465 to say that Muhammad can judge, or hear. But no, by your Lord, they will not truly believe until they make you, O Muhammad, a judge concerning that over which they dispute among themselves, and then find within themselves no discomfort from what you have judged and submit in
Mhm.
submission.
So how do you respond to that real quick?
Yeah, so that's what I wrote. To justify that Muhammad also can judge. So I would say 544.
Uh-huh.
Indeed, he sent down the Torah, which was guidance and light, and the prophets to submit, and the prophet who submitted, judged by it for the Jews and the rabbis and the scholars. And in the end, it says here. So do not fear the people, but fear me, and do not exchange my verses for small prices. And whoever does not judge but what God has revealed, Nazala, sent down,
Mhm.
then it is he who are the disbelievers. So if Muhammad has to judge between the Jews, he had to judge what God has sent down, not from his hadith or his wisdom,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Another one, 548, and we have revealed to you, O Muhammad, the book in truth, confirming that which has preceded it of the scripture and as a criteria over it.
Mhm.
So judge between them what God has revealed, and
That's
do
the
not
verse right there. There it is, right. That's the verse that takes care of that.
Yeah, 548. Okay.
What does it say?
Yeah, so judge between them by what God has revealed.
What did he reveal?
The Quran.
It says the book right there.
Oh,
Did it
the
say the Quran or did it say the book in that verse?
The book in
I
truth.
promise
yeah.
I wasn't gonna chide nobody, but you keep messing around now. You're reading a verse and then you're going somewhere else. What did the verse say?
And we have revealed to you the book in truth.
The Al-Kitab, you see?
Al-Kitab,
It didn't
yeah.
say Al-Quran, right?
Right, yes.
So, so you use the verse for what it says.
The book.
A lot of them make a mistake and use it. So look,
Confirming.
so judge between them by what Allah has revealed. By the book, you see?
Yeah.
By the book. Now let me see what next verse you're gonna come to tighten that up with.
Okay. 549.
6115. Go ahead. Do it real quick.
Let's see. I don't have it.
Well, you should have it.
I should have
Six
it.
115.
6.
Maybe 114 on your.
Maybe 114.
Hmm.
Let's see. Then is it other than God I should seek as a judge, while it is He who has revealed to you the book?
Look,
explaining
there's the book
things?
again, you see?
Okay.
Shall I seek a judge other than Allah when He has revealed Al-Kitab? Why would, that's the prophet himself. So how could he be being a judge when all these verses are saying that? That's just so stupid.
Yeah.
You see, for the Sunnis to be saying that. They just don't read the Quran. They're so caught up in the madhabs and the fatwas and the Maliki fiqh. You know, those brothers who are now Malikis, following Maliki fiqh. Well, they caught up in all that foolishness, Hanafi and all that stuff, and they contradicting the Quran. They're going right against the Quran. They don't even care. They have abandoned the Quran, you see, and they go for all this foolishness. Look at those verses right there. How silly could you be? Thinking that Muhammad can make judgments for somebody, give fatwas. That means he can give fatwas. You see, fatwas are legal judgment. He ain't doing none of that.
Isn't there a verse where Muhammad said Allah only gives fatwas?
Yeah, right. That's chapter 4, verse 177 or something like that. Yeah, they ask you for a fatwa, Allah gives a fatwa.
Six.
So anyway, you see what that is, right?
6 what?
6
114.
115.
Oh, 115.
So you see that's there. Nobody can argue against that. That's what the prophet himself, he's saying, why would I seek a judge other than Allah? You see? And when you go down a little further, after you read that, it says if you follow most people, they will lead you astray. Why? They only follow conjecture, adhan, you see, opinions. And that avails nothing against al-haq, which is the Quran. I mean, they beat all day long. They can get beat all day long. Such stupidity, you see? Yet they act like they're so intelligent, quoting all this Arabic, trying to make you fear because they're talking a lot of gibberish and nonsense. You see? This is foolishness.
Yeah. Okay, and they also might add, oh, well, God gave Muhammad the book and the wisdom, kitab and the hikmah, right? So they try to say the book is the Quran and the hikmah is.
Oh, we're just telling them to look at Jake's video on YouTube for that.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he did that job for them. Jake Brackatella.
Yeah.
If they want to say the wisdom, we tell them to go look at Jake's videos. He got a couple of them up there. And that'll solve that for them.
Yeah, but I also found a verse where it's
It's a shout out to Jake. You know, we're giving him props. Although he might have ran away from that,
Go
but it still
subscribe
is the
and
truth.
like
He
and
ran away
share.
from the truth, but it's still there.
Alright. 231, it says, and do not take God's verses as a joke, and remember the favor of God upon you and what has been revealed to you of the book and the wisdom by which He warns you by it.
Yeah.
So you see how God used two different attributes.
Well, that word, that
To the
graphics
Quran.
up there and all that. Look at him.
Yeah, I got the bracket, see? Bihi. It's it. So the kitab and hikmah are one thing, not two different source of
Yeah.
guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And the it has to be the Quran because
Right.
you know, because the Quran has been
Yeah.
described as a book and the hikmah.
Yeah.
So it is singular. They, the book and the wisdom, are not two separate sources.
Yeah.
They are one, the Quran.
Just be careful whenever you're reading a verse that got Al-Kitab, don't call it Quran.
Yeah,
Call it
that's my
Al-Kitab.
that's my
When it says Quran, don't call it Al-Kitab.
that's my Sunni.
You use that because we're gonna discuss later on the difference between Quran and Kitab in the book.
Yeah.
You see? I mean, but just make sure you say what Allah said. Allah didn't put the wrong word there. So you use that same word. Follow me?
It's my Sunni mentality.
That's no problem.
Alright, authority. I wanted to give this, but I don't know if it's sufficient. But one thing I found good, like I think John, does the shaitan has authority on people, right? And John brought up the verse 14:22, where it says, "Indeed, God has promised you the promise of truth, and I promised you, and I betrayed you. I had no authority upon you," right? But that says shaitan words. I believe he does have authority because in 16:100
You believe what?
he does have authority on the disbelievers. the people who
On the,
associate.
on the, he has authority over them, yeah.
Yeah, because
Well-
over here he says, I don't have authority on you. The
Yeah.
shaitan says, I do not.
Yeah.
But that's the shaitan's speech, right? But God's speech, God is saying
Yeah.
his authority is only over those who take him as
Right,
ally
exactly,
and those who
exactly.
associate with
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
Right.
he has authority on those who
This
follow
will-
him and
yeah.
accept him,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. And so when you recite the Quran, seek refuge with God from shaitan, the expelled. Indeed, there is for him no authority over those who believe and rely upon their Lord. So he doesn't have authority on the believers, but he has authority on those who associate. Yeah, and what else? Let's see. Oh, am I done? I think I might be done. Maybe saying God covenant. No, I can't go there. Where is it? Oh, see, I have it. 6 was the greatest. No, that's not it. Yeah, I think I'm done. I think that was
Okay, stick a fork in him.
that
Think
bad.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Alright, good. Alright, good. Anybody wanna question him about anything you said so far?
Let's move forward. Let's
See
go.
you.
Not me, we already went through enough,
Yeah.
cross-examining you. Did you have something? Nothing? Okay, so let me just ask everybody now. Based on what you presented, chapter 40, verse 12, what is it that you want to say and to be precise about what you glean or what you understand as a statement of rejection of idolatry or any form of shirk or whatever? What is it that you want to say that comes out of 40:12? What is your statement, your mission statement, so to say? What is the statement that you have? Without reading all the verses now that you put together and all that, what statement would you say 40:12 makes for you? What statement? Do you have anything like that? You see, if I want to say to, say my Sunni brothers who are following the Sunnah and all that, and we're saying this verse here is rejecting you and all of that, what statement do I want to say to you if I'm going to brand you or label you or say something to you? What am I going to deal with as regards to you now?
Well, I would say you have to define what is a mushrik according to the Quran.
Uh-huh.
You have to define what is a mushrik
You have
according
to
to the
you're going to tell them that they have to define what a mushrik is?
No, let the Quran define what is a mushrik. Let
Mm,
God.
That's what
define
you're
it.
gonna say. What are you gonna say to your Sunni brother who's standing right here? I'm a Sunni brother and I'm telling you I follow Hadith and Sunnah.
Yeah.
And you told me about 40:12. What do you want to say to me?
Well, I would call you a mushrik because you make fabrication on God. You make extra sanctions. You love Muhammad like you love God.
First of all,
Right.
Does that verse 40:12 say anything about loving anybody?
Well, it doesn't mention mushrikeens.
No, I'm saying loving anybody. You're saying you love Muhammad more than God. Why are you bringing other stuff into the picture that the verse is not going to support you with? That verse ain't got nothing to talk about loving nobody and all that. Why are you bringing extra stuff in? The verse is not good enough for you? That verse don't say enough for you?
No, I think that verse takes me to other verses. That's
Okay,
the
so
problem.
good, okay. You fall back.
It's like a train.
Saeed, what about you? And I'm just asking, because I know you did, I just told you about this homework assignment a few days ago.
I know, but
But you have a good sense of perception and insight. I mean, we all do, but I mean, I know you for that. So you should be able to draw something out of there.
well, to me, this verse is indicting those who, some that say they believe that they're calling on other than Allah, and they're judging with other than what Allah has given them. And so as a result of that, they become mushriks. And that that they're not satisfied unless they can bring these other things into play, you know, they're not satisfied unless they can bring these other things into play. That's why they're
Yeah,
not.
I don't mean,
they-
I'm not talking
they-
about
they're
giving,
not-
I'm not talking about giving tafsir and along, I'm just saying a statement that you wanna say to them, you see? That you wanna say to them, you see? A statement that you wanna say to them. You see, so you say, you wanna call them mushriks,
Yeah, I would call them.
huh?
Yes.
So that's, you don't think that's a big enough statement to call them a mushrik?
Yeah.
If they're a
yeah.
mushrik, that means they're going to hell, the law doesn't
That's
forgive them.
right. That's right.
That's a powerful claim, a statement, a
That's right.
brand that you brand them.
Mhm.
That's what you wanna brand them based on this verse?
Well, it's not me branding them with that.
Yeah, it's good.
Huh?
It's not me branding them with that.
Well, you don't think I'm thinking it's you, do you?
No, I know.
Huh?
No, I don't.
So why you bring that up?
Because
Okay, let me fall back, cause I said I was gonna do it.
Because you're asking me, do I wanna brand them with this?
Yeah, because I'm saying based on what the verse is saying, you're delivering the verse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You follow me? Look what, chapter 7, chapter 10, verse 71.
1071?
Yeah. You're doing what Noah did.
You doing what Noah did?
Yeah.
What did Noah do?
Well, you're getting ready to read it right now.
And recite to them the news of
What does it
Noah.
say? And recite to them the story of Noah, when he said to his people, O my people, if my staying here and reminding you by the messages of the eyes of Allah is hard on you. You see?
Mhm.
So that's what you're doing. You're reminding them by the messages of Allah and it's hard on them. It's not you doing it, it's the message of Allah, but you're the one delivering it.
Oh, okay.
You see? That's what I'm saying. So this is what you want to say to them. You see? You're delivering. So what is it that you want to say to them? Look, brother, if you don't accept this Quran by itself, and you're a mushrik, is that what you want to say?
That's what I wanna say.
Okay, good. So that's what I'm asking you. That's big, because if that's the case, shirk is unforgivable. That means you headed to hell. That's a big statement you're making.
Mhm.
They have to come and take that verse and come out of it and say, no, you're wrong. You see, you're standing on this verse by itself. You don't have to go nowhere else. You're standing on this verse by itself. That's what you want to say, right?
Yes.
Good. What about you?
You'll be judged you'll be judged by what you trust and what you turn away from.
Hmm.
You'll be
Based
judged.
on this verse 12 now,
Right,
40:12.
right. You'll be judged
Mm.
by what you trust
Yeah.
or what you turn away from.
Yeah.
So know what you trust.
Yes.
Otherwise-
so know what you trust. So
Other-
you're just giving some advice there.
Yes.
That's what you're doing. You're giving advice. You're not labeling nobody nothing.
Based on this verse,
Yeah.
you have to just that one because you have to work with kafara and sharaka
Okay,
together.
so you're giving advice. What about you, John?
My advice would be if
No, I'm not saying, I'm not asking you for advice, I'm saying that's what he's doing. Saeed is not giving advice, he's calling people mushriks. Based on this verse, he's not giving no advice, he's just saying you're a mushrik. Based on this verse, he's not giving no advice. The advice after that is maybe you should turn away from that. But he's calling you a mushrik. And you can do whatever you want after that, you can have a discussion.
Right.
You're saying that you should judge by what Allah does, so you're giving some friendly advice because Allah says he's the judge. And in that verse, he says he's the judge. The judgment belongs to him alone. So what are you saying that now, your statement to the person who's not accepting this Quran by itself, Quran alone,
what I'm saying is
based on the verse?
right. On verse 40, paragraph 12, what I'm saying is, if the simplest thing that I can say is that if you believe anything besides God
Yeah,
can help you
yeah.
or can direct you to the straight path,
Mm-hmm.
and you use other than God
Mm-hmm.
as your guidance, that's the only unforgivable sin in the Quran,
Mm-hmm.
where God, if it's carried out till death,
Yeah,
that God will not forgive you for.
yeah.
And I'm reminded of a surah where Moses kills a man,
Yeah,
and God forgives him for that.
yeah.
But God does not forgive the only unforgivable sin, which is to associate another God with him.
Mm-hmm.
So
So are you calling them mushrik or are you giving them advice, like June 8?
if they carry it out till death, I'm calling them a mushrik.
Uh-huh.
But if they,
Well, what about, you don't know what they're gonna do. What about standing in front of you right now? What are they doing something in front of you right now?
with
So
their,
you're saying if you can carry it out to death, then Allah will forgive you. That's advice. I'm saying right now, before you walk away from me, what am I telling you now? If you standing here and saying, so I said, brother, you lying to me. Now I say, if you change your mind later on and want to tell me the truth, that's one thing. But right now, I'm calling you a liar.
yes,
You see, I'm calling you a liar right now. Now you can say, well, you know, your thoughts getting into you. So brother, you know, you know what I said earlier. You know, that's something different. But right now, I'm calling you a liar.
right.
Is that what are you doing now to the person right now in front of you?
I would say you're not standing for the truth, and you know,
Good. What would you do?
If I had a Sunni sister that stood before me and said that she follows Hadith and Sunnah,
Mm.
I said, well, if you look at this verse 40:12, Allah is indicting you and calling you a mushrik.
Mm. Good.
Period.
Good. 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 All right. So that's good. So yeah.
I have one more thing, and that's what I would indict them as being a mushrik, and my advice would be 617.
Okay. So I'm not talking about going no other verse but here.
Right.
Oh, you just want to use that verse?
Because otherwise, I
Okay.
can give you 6 1. I can give you a lot of verses.
Yeah,
with
okay,
advice.
okay.
Right.
How many?
All right.
You know.
Yeah, okay.
So let's put it up there, and let's put it up there in the word for word. And I'm gonna tell you what I would say.
45.
Yeah, I would say what Allah said. I'm not gonna say nothing but what Allah said. In the verse. So the argument is not against me.